What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today I'm talking about what happens when you put an offer in on a house. Hello friends, as you may know or may not know, this is part of my home buying series. I do have a playlist linked up above and also down below. And also down below in the description box, not only will you see the playlist, you'll see a Koji link. If you click on that link, it will show you where else you can connect with me on social media and my other YouTube channel, should you be interested. But this is part of my home buying series. My husband and I are first-time home buyers. We are going through the process of finding our first home. I already have a video on the first steps in the home buying process. I have a couple of house tour videos that are going up. I'm probably putting this in the middle of the house tour videos to break it up. And then I'll also be talking about the process of having an offer accepted to closing, along with home decor videos and renovations. So if you're into that, or if you're into lifestyle, or if you're into makeup, because this is normally a makeup and lifestyle channel, please consider subscribing. So today I want to talk about putting an offer in on a house, especially in the market in 2021. It has been a crazy, wild last 2 years. It feels next to impossible when you're a first-time homeowner going up against, in my situation, I'm located in Arizona, going up against a lot of people moving from California that have more money, going up against corporations and companies buying houses with cash offers. It's a really, really tough market for first-time buyers right now. So hopefully with my shared experience, you feel less alone, and we can get through it together. So if there's any other topics about the house buying process you would like to know about, leave a comment with your question down below and I can look at making a video about it. So we looked at over 60 houses. I'm sure you're sick of me saying that by now. It's a lot. We were going out and looking at houses 3 days a week. It felt like more than a full-time job. The whole process is just exhausting and draining. So if you're feeling tired and sluggish and just like over it and overwhelmed and like anxiety ridden, you are not alone. It is unfortunately normal. We looked at over 60 houses, and it's just, even in the brief period we were looking towards the end, you could already see the housing prices starting to go up a lot, and we were just getting really nervous. Like, what if we're never gonna have an offer accepted? We don't want to settle on a house that we don't love because it's like the biggest purchase of our lives. Are we even going to be able to get something that we like? Like, it was just it's such a roller coaster, because you get really excited when you see a house that you like, you want to put an offer on, and then you crash down when it doesn't get accepted, or you're already told that you don't stand a chance. So throughout this process, we put offers on, I believe it was 3 houses total. I can't remember if it was 4. Yeah, it was 3 total that we put actual offers on. There were 2 other houses that we really liked a lot that we wanted to put offers on, but we're told, yeah, it's not gonna happen for you guys. So I just wanted to share my experience with that. The second day we went out, we walked into a house. We weren't expecting to like it, which, by the way, you know, they say don't judge a book by its cover. It's the same with photos, because photos can look really nice online, and then you show up and you're like, is this the same house I saw pictures of? And you'll also see that there are houses that you feel like, nah, I guess we'll see it. And then you walk in and you're like, I love it. So that's kind of what happened with us. The second day that we went out to look at houses, there's one house where we're like, I can't wait to see this house. This is going to be it. It might be the house we put an offer on. Like, is it too soon? Like, freaking out about that. And my advice is, your realtor should guide you along the same way, but my advice is, in this market, if you see a house and you get that feeling and you're like, oh my God, could I live here? And you can see yourself living there and you haven't been looking very long, put an offer in. Just do it. Just do it. So anyways, we were really excited about this one house, and the rest were kind of like, eh, and like the house we were waiting for was the last house scheduled for the day. So we walk into this first house, and it took us by surprise because we didn't think it was going to be that nice inside. We're like, oh, it was renovated, they probably just quickly did it. But no, like this house was so beautiful and meticulously cared for inside. Like it was stunning and gorgeous. If you watch my house tour videos, you probably know which one I'm talking about. But when I walked in, I was kind of like, I was like shocked. Like I was taken aback. I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute here. The house was just our taste. Like we literally wouldn't do anything to the inside of it. We wouldn't want to change anything except for maybe paint a couple of walls, accent walls. And it was just so beautifully taken care of and just well done when they did the renovations. They poured a lot of love into the house. The backyard was a really great space. There weren't houses behind it. It had open area. There was plenty of room for a pool because we live in Arizona, so a pool is like a must. The house either needs to have a pool or room for a pool, and enough room in our budget to put a pool in right away. That was like our must have on our list. And there was enough room for a pool, and it was really cool. There was a barn in the backyard that they converted into an outdoor bar that had electricity and cable hooked up to it. It was just like, it was such a unique little gem in the space. Like it was just so cool to me because it wasn't cookie cutter like a lot of the houses in Arizona are. It was an older house in a little bit of an older neighborhood. It was a really great location. So we were like, okay, let's put a house, like an offer down on this house. And like, we were freaking out. Like, is it too soon? This is like the second day we're out. This is like the 5th house that we've seen. Like, what are we doing? This is so bizarre right now. Like, we were freaking out. So we came in with a really strong offer. Our realtor was able to talk to the agent, and sometimes you'll find that selling agents are going to be willing to give up information, and sometimes they don't want to give any information. But based on the information that the selling agent gave, he said, okay, this is what I think a really strong offer would be. And it's like the way the housing market is, the house is listed for one thing, but you're going to be offering so much more. A lot of houses were going for almost 100,000 over the asking price. It's a lot. It's a lot. So we came in with what we thought was a really strong offer, and it turned out that someone offered a little bit less than we did, but they decided to waive the appraisal. People waiving the appraisal will most likely be the bane of your existence. So basically what it means to waive an appraisal, because I didn't know any of this when we first started, when you put an offer in on a house, basically the house gets appraised and the bank determines the value and worth of the house. So from what I understand, again, I'm not an expert, but from what I understand right now in this house hunting journey.
Voiceover Meg here because I flopped at explaining this. So let's say, for example, a house is listed for $390, but it turns out that it's only appraised for $370. So if you waive the appraisal, you waive the right to negotiate the terms and to negotiate the price down. And if you waive the appraisal, you have to pay whatever you offered. So again, for the example of the house being $390, and let's say that you put over asking and you offered $420 for the house. If you waive the appraisal, you have to pay the $420. If you don't waive the appraisal, from what I understand, if the appraisal is lower than the offer, so if the home appraises for less than the agreed upon sale price, the lender isn't going to approve your loan. So this is when the buyers and sellers can come to negotiate, and hopefully the seller can come down on the list price so you're able to get approved for the loan and be able to purchase the house. So a low appraisal could cause the buyer to back out or lose funding if the seller isn't willing to negotiate the price down. However, most houses are listed at what they should be appraised for, but that is the protection of the appraisal. I hope that made sense, but in this market, a lot of people are just choosing to offer anywhere from $30,000 to $85,000 over asking and waive the appraisal. 9 times out of 10, the seller is going to want to get the most money they can, so that's why they're picking people offering insane amounts over asking and waiving the appraisal, because they get the most money that way.
So funnily enough, the house that we were waiting to see all day that we thought we were going to like, we didn't like at all. So again, when you're looking, be really open-minded. Don't judge solely on pictures. I know it's hard to say, but it's just true. So we had a second house that we wanted to put an offer on. The house is the same. It was like by the same designer. So it was the same exact blueprint, layout, size, everything as a house that we're currently in the process of being approved for. So the layout was really great. I was like, okay, I can envision how we can make this house our own. But for us, it was an outdoor space that really sold us. It had a huge yard. Again, there were no houses behind it. It was like in a cul-de-sac, so the yard jutted out this way. So you had a really nice big backyard. There were palm trees. You could see the sky. The house that we're renting now is very much like a fishbowl. We're in a neighborhood of all second-story houses that are literally 10 feet apart from each other, and the backyard isn't that big. So it's like any window I look at, I don't see the sky. I literally see brown walls from the neighbors around me. And when I look out into the backyard, I don't see the sky because they have the sky covered with trees. And again, the houses, you can't really see it. So being able to see the open sky was like really important to me. One of the great things about Arizona is the sunsets, and I never get to see them. Anyway, that's not relevant. That's that's neurodivergency for you. So the backyard space really sold us because it was a wide open sky. Like you could see the sky. The yard was huge. Our dog Luna would have so much room to run around. There was a beautiful, gorgeous, huge pool in the backyard, and we're like that was the house I was the most excited for. I'm really excited for the house that we're in the process of purchasing, but that was like the house for me. Like I was literally like, oh my God, this is it, this is it, this is it. And we came in with what we thought was a really strong offer. But again, we were outbid by someone who offered more than we did and waived the appraisal. And it's just frustrating because these people are already profiting so much money on their houses. Houses have an 86% markup. So it's kind of like also getting a little bit frustrated with the greed of the seller. Like I get it, get your money, but it's like you're already getting like most cases $200,000 to $300,000 more than what you paid for the house. So it's like what, $300,000 isn't enough? You want $400,000? Like, it was just a lot. So with that house, those people were having to relocate for work. And it was a situation where I'm kind of glad it didn't work out, because in the disclosure, it turned out that they had issues with scorpions, and I want no part of that. I've been haunted by scorpions before in apartments, and I'm like, I can't do it. So, it ended up working out because they had disclosed that they had a scorpion problem, and it also ended up working out because it was a work transfer. They needed to stay in the house for 2 months after closing, and they were not willing to pay rent. So this is like where the buyer really has a shit end of the stick, because in the past the buyer could say, well, if you need to stay here for 60 days, you're paying rent, you're giving me a deposit, you're paying for the utilities, and this is how much you're going to pay to live in your house. So this, you know, it just wouldn't have worked for us. Like, it's just too much. It's just a lot, because again, I could be misunderstanding this, but from what I understand, in Arizona, you get a little bit of a mortgage break when you close. They give you 2 months, 60 days before you have to make your first mortgage payment. So if they needed to stay there 60 days after closing, you're missing out on that 2-month relief. So I think it's really designed to help buyers out if like you need to close out rent in an apartment or rent from a house or sell the house that you're living to move in there. I think it's just to give relief all around by not charging the first 2 months. So you're missing out on that, and they're not wanting to pay rent either. So it ended up working out that we didn't get it, because that wasn't a good deal, but the property was gorgeous, the house was gorgeous, it was really nice. So there were 2 other houses that we really liked a lot. and the one house was smaller. It was like the smallest that we would want in square footage. And we wouldn't be able to see ourselves there more than 5 years because we would likely outgrow the house and need to buy a new one. But the yard space was really good. It had a really nice new pool, and the flow and layout of the house was really great. Even though it was smaller square footage, it didn't seem like it because the layout was perfect. So we were like, okay, we're interested. So basically what our realtor does when we say we're interested, he calls the selling agent to see what the deal is, how many offers are there offers, are offers going over, like are people already offering to waive the appraisal, just to see if it's worth our time to even do the paperwork to put an offer down. So for the house with the smaller square footage, he was told that people were already offering, I think it was $45,000 over asking and waiving the appraisal. And to us, we're like, this house isn't big enough for us to justify offering 45 over asking. And if they're waiving the appraisal, we're not going to get it anyways because we're not comfortable waiving the appraisal. So there was no point in us putting an offer in on that house. There was a second house that was more at the top of our budget that was gorgeous. I didn't film it. I wish I did because it was so beautiful inside. And we were thinking that we had a little bit of an advantage with it being at the top of our budget. It was more of like, the idea was, yes, this is close to the top of our budget, but hopefully people aren't overbidding on it and waiving appraisals at the higher end. So that was not the case. When he inquired about it, there was already an offer for like 15 over, which would have put us over our pre-approved rate, and they already waived the appraisal. So we're like, okay. And then a couple days went by, and when I was putting a new list together to look at houses, I noticed that it was still active. So I reached out to my realtor and was just like, did something fall through with the offer? Like, why is it still active? It's been days. And a couple hours later, it was under contract for almost $100,000 over asking. It was literally $85,000 over asking, and they had waived the appraisal. So if you're feeling discouraged with putting offers in, don't. Like, it's not you, it's the market. It's really hard. And another frustrating thing with offers is having to wait. It's torture having to wait. My realtor said back in the day we could demand that they tell us yes or no within 24 hours, but because it's a seller's market, they take typically up to 3 days to make a decision because they want as many offers as possible, and of course they're going to pick the highest one. So it's just a very frustrating, drawn out process. Your emotions are all up and down. So just be gentle with yourself if you're in this process. It's a lot. I'm going to talk more about the offer with the house that we ended up, our offer was accepted for. That's in the Get Ready With Me video if you want to hear about that. But I'm going to cut this video off for today. So I just wanted to chat about offers, our experience, and if you have any tips or tricks, which I don't know like what you can really do in this market that's like helpful for that, because a lot of times it's people using cash offers and it's the companies that are buying the houses wanting to put paint on the wall and slap it back on the market for like $50,000 more than what they paid. There's a lot of flippers that are buying houses and doing the same thing. There's a lot of people that already have a lot of money and are buying houses up to rent because they want to make a lot of money off of renters, which I also have issue with, because it's just not affordable living. Affordable living just doesn't seem to exist much here where I live in Arizona. So yeah, it's just mostly investors that are buying these properties up with cash and renting them or putting them back on the market for a lot more to try to profit. So it is not you. There is a lot of competition. So yeah, just try to have patience, which trust me, I know is hard. I'm an Aries, my husband is an Aries, we don't have patience. But the right house is out there. You just have to have faith. I hope that this video was somewhat helpful. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to hang out with me. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.